A bunch of football players either knelt during the national anthem on Sunday or they linked arms. Now, why is that? It all started, the linking of the arms anyway, started as a response to this speech, which we're gonna show you, of Donald Trump at a rally in Alabama, referring to those players who had knelt in the past. Take a look.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired. Because that's a total disrespect of our heritage. That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay? Everything that we stand for. And I know we have freedoms and we have freedom of choice and many, many different freedoms. But you know what? It's still totally disrespectful.
Okay, so that's his statement. A lot of folks took exception to the idea of the president of the United States calling football players, or anyone for that matter, a son of a bitch. Let's take a look at some of the photos of people kneeling during the national anthem, others locking arms, those who aren't kneeling, locking arms with those who are. So this is the Denver Broncos, it looks like. We have some other photos. This is the Indianapolis Colts, the Colts. I was gonna say Baltimore Colts, but they're not there anymore. And there's a great number of them kneeling, everyone else locking arms. So we're gonna go into more on this in a second, but first thoughts, 5 words or less.
I would kneel.
Trump, pick your battles.
What the hell is happening?
Yeah.
That's what it is to me. So yeah, pick your battles. You think he's going off on the wrong thing?
Brett, wrong thing, because okay, in the NFL you have 32 teams, yes? 52 players that are on a team. You have a handful of quarterbacks that are African American, and then you have ones that are not. So you have hundreds and hundreds of players that are minorities that are looking at our president thinking like, you're the son of a bitch. And also, it must suck for Trump to see something that is so American as football being thrown in his face, or he's saying, let's make America great again, right? So what makes America great? Football, sports,
for sure.
Yeah, and so you have people that play this sport saying, you know what, Trump, boom, can I do that on Pop Trigger?
You just did, and it's live.
Right, saying, listen, no, dude, you don't get to tell us what to do. It's not like these players aren't playing the game; they're just exercising their right. Tom Benson, who is the billionaire owner of the Saints organization in New Orleans, naval officer, gives to various entities of the armed forces. Even he's saying, look, our players have the right to do this. Our players should do this. It's not. Some may deem it disrespectful, but at the end of the day, that's their right, and they're doing it peacefully, and they're not doing it violently. So I'm with you.
Where do you come down on this?
Yeah, so my issue is that like this whole thing started when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling in solidarity of African Americans that were being killed, and I think people are forgetting that, and they think that it's they're trying to protest the anthem or protesting the flag, but the original protest was protesting all these killings of African Americans, and I think that it was sort of like on the downhill slide as far as like the media wasn't covering it as much until Trump decided to bring it up.
Yeah.
And it's like we're like on the verge of a nuclear war with North Korea, and you're worried about who's kneeling, who's standing, and all this stuff. And I just don't quite understand why.
But I would tie it directly to North Korea in this way. I guess indirectly to North Korea in this way. Is Trump sucks at de-escalating stuff.
Just the worst.
He only knows how to make stuff worse and more polemic and divide people even more. And he went from exactly this thing that was about to disappear into calling people a son of a bitch. And it used to be you were on the side of people who were like you, right? Who you agree with. And it was just like do I kneel during the national anthem or do I not? For me, I wouldn't, what would I do even if it was something that I was protesting? Would I kneel during the national anthem? My personal approach is like, I probably wouldn't, because my teachers always told me to stand and I love rules. And so that's not a virtue at all. That's just me being a blind follower of stuff. But also like, when you're having a conversation with someone that you love, but you think there's something fundamentally wrong about them.
Yeah.
And you say like, I love you, but I think the national anthem is the I love you part before the but. And I think if I were a professional athlete, which I mean, come on, how can I not be?
It's guns.
I would probably do what others folks do, which is like put something on my jersey and pay the fine for it, and have a lot of people wearing like a certain like equipment so that you couldn't help. Like they do that for breast cancer awareness. Right. People wear pink and everyone notices and takes exception. That said, like it is far more effective and eye-catching, and it makes more people talk about it. It has affected America more to have them kneel during the national anthem. So it seems like it's a very rhetorically useful approach. But before Trump said this, that was what I thought. But I was like, if you want to kneel during the national anthem, do it. This is America, Jack.
Yeah.
Now, Trump has invented a whole new thing, which is people who are linking arms to say, listen, man, we might not choose to kneel, but we sure as shit don't agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
So the message.
Trump sent this tweet. Can we have the tweet where he said, "Great solidarity for our national anthem and for our country. Standing with locked arms is good. Kneeling is not acceptable." Bad ratings he threw in because I guess he has Tourette's. He has ratings Tourette's. But dude, great solidarity, linking arms. They're in solidarity against you, you fucking idiot.
Right, Brett, I know, and isn't that one of the most frustrating things is that like he just doesn't get it.
Like he's too dumb to even understand that.
I mean, listening to him speak for me is one of the most infuriating and just upsetting things because the things he said, the way he delivers stuff sounds like he went into the bathroom. He had someone say, okay, look, these are 5 points you need to bring up, figure it out, you're on your own. Walks out and then starts talking and spewing bullshit. I think that these players, he says that you should fire the players. Well, Trump, if you were smart, you would realize that there's a lot of money involved with these players. The NFL has contractual obligations and contractual agreements with these players. That's not going to happen. These owners are not interested in losing any kind of funds. If you want to get into it from a business standpoint, which he should know because he's a businessman.
So there's a business history of Trump in the NFL. Trump was a major figure in a rival league to the NFL called, I think, the USFL. And it was essentially a league that played when the NFL was in its offseason, and then Trump wanted to move it to the part of the year where it competed with the NFL, and the NFL was like, nah, bitch.
It ain't happening, yeah.
Now, Trump won a lawsuit against the NFL, but it paid $3.
Yes.
And then Trump, of course, USFL didn't have the players, and it went under. And then later, Trump tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, but he didn't have enough money to get that to happen. Okay. So he is butthurt by the NFL, and he has a thing against it. Now, another fact that's useful to know is where he was when he said this statement. He was in Alabama. There's a Senate race in Alabama. So Jeff Sessions is the attorney general. He used to be a senator in Alabama. And when he got appointed, they filled the seat with the guy named Luther Strange, who's like an establishment politician in Alabama. Luther Strange is facing a primary battle against a guy named Roy Moore. Now, who's Roy Moore? Remember that story back in the day where there was a judge who put the 10 Commandments in a courthouse? It was referenced in Arrested Development to put it in a time and place, and one of the blues breaks a heel trying to kick it. So this guy Roy Moore is like a shit. He's just such a shitty, racist kind of guy who won't get rid, who erects the 10 Commandments, which is against the separation of church and state. Roy Moore is a shit. And so it looked like Trump was trying to get shitty Roy Moore voters to think that Luther Strange was just as shitty as Roy Moore and get them over so his horse could win.
Yeah.
So that's like the specific context. But this proves that Trump gets so lost and can't fucking help himself giving a speech to a group of people in a room that he can't have the perspective to keep his eye on the prize and run the damn country.
Right.
And that's how this got so blown out of proportion and crazy that now allies of his, who are the owners of these teams, like the guy who owns the Jaguars gave $1 million to Trump. Now that guy is down on the field linking arms with the players to say, no, you're wrong, Trump.
I know. I think that's one really great thing that I'm seeing is these players and coaches who have like spoken out saying, yes, I support Trump, like I voted for Trump. They're now saying like, no, we're really disappointed in our president for saying this. At the end of the day, all these players are passionate, great humans that do really good things for their communities. And we're not gonna let you, the president, take that away from us. And we're gonna stand with our players, whether they decide to kneel or stand.
Yeah.
The real villain in this whole Trump thing is his yes people. Who is allowing this man to continuously, just day after day, just suck at life? You have, I mean, seriously, okay, so no legislation has been passed by this guy. He's not, no one likes him. I mean, is that, to dumb it down, no one likes this dude, but yet he's still here. Yet he's still able to continue to run our country. He's still existing in our world. It's like, who are these people that are allowing this?
So one of them is so they all used to be around him. It's someone backing Roy Moore, the challenger, who is like this racist polemic shit. I have no problem saying that. Roy Moore sucks. Is Steve Bannon, who used to be behind Trump. Now the only remaining voice like that is this guy named Stephen Miller, who's from Santa Monica, and I'm sure the girl he liked started dating some like Mexican guy, and that's why he wanted to ruin the country after that. He hates Latinos. Like, I'm sure of that. He wanted to go to Brentwood, but he had to go to fucking Santa Monica High, and he's super pissed that there are people who speak Spanish there. That's what it was, and they like gave him a wedgie, and he's holding it against America. Fuck that guy. Yeah.
Barack Obama was on CNN this weekend, and he, so on the other side, you guys, people were saying, well, it's disrespectful to those who have served in our country that may have been injured in war or prisoners of war for these players not to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance. And Obama had said that listening to someone who may be hurt by these players not standing due to them being shot in war or injured defending our country also is something that they should think about. And I agree. Okay, so it's like, where's the line you walk? How do you say, okay, well, I want to stand in my own truth. I want to have how I feel, my rights be heard, but how do I do that without disrespecting those that have served our country, those that have given their lives for our country? And my brother's in the Army, and I asked him, and he said, and he thinks that he supports these players, but it's a question that I think we should think about as well, because is it disrespectful to those people?
So I think something related to that is I would also compare kneeling to like the war in Afghanistan. It's like, what's the exit strategy of the people who are kneeling? Because now we're in this like endless war of if they stop kneeling, they give in to Trump. And I don't know, because also the struggle for equality has not ended, and there's no one knows how and when it's going to end. But like, when you see things, I mean, other things thematically linked to the flag are like when something's at half staff, when something terrible happens, we lower it for that day or that week, and then we go back to the top. And so I think that's why it's so difficult for the players who are kneeling. Now they definitely have to keep kneeling forever until there's equality in America, and then, I mean, I don't know when that's gonna happen.
It's like, what's the end result? I support the message you're trying to send. I think that is crucial. That is what's needed. But what's the end result?
I think there needs to be some kind of initiative they lay out as a goal to do, like, okay, we are going to create a foundation with this much money behind it, and these people that are now a new institution that will actively fight. Because I talked to some people this weekend who are on the other side. I talked to someone who canceled his subscription to the NFL Network because of this very thing. And he said, I don't want to give them my money. This is America. My family came here as refugees, and people died for that. Opportunity, this is the best country in the world. If you don't like it, leave. And he was like, you have these rich, millionaires who, why are they not in the cities fixing the problems they say are problems? And I think if they say, well, we're going to put out like a plan to put some kind of institution in place to make sure that we combat this in an active way, then we can come to a point where we did something all together. But shit, man, that's the thing, is like, I think it's so un-American to tell people they have to do literally anything.
Yeah.
And to say like, you need to stand at attention during the Pledge of Allegiance, like that sounds fascist to me.
Yeah, and I feel like and the kneeling for me is like, so when a player gets really hurt on the field, all the other players kneel out of respect for that player, you know, out of respect for them being hurt and like hoping that they're okay. So to me, the kneeling isn't as disrespectful as if they were like sitting on the bench or like not even facing the flag or anything like that. And like you said, Jason, I think they do need to think about how this can make a veteran feel. But you know, veterans have obviously died and lost limbs and come back with, you know, PTSD and all this stuff, and like, you know, they're fighting for equality and justice, but you know, we're seeing that that's not even. It's like America isn't equal.
Yeah.
So as a veteran, you know, I'm sure there are tons that are like, we're losing our lives, we're losing our limbs, we're losing our families, and it seems almost for nothing because people aren't equal in America.
So yeah,
that's a great point.
There's the of course, and Jenk says this on the main show, but like of course we're not disrespecting like people who've made the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so whenever you do something, you have to. I think if everyone communicated their intentions, we wouldn't be arguing.
Right.
I think the intention is like, there are plenty of former soldiers online who have gone out and said, I support the people kneeling because I fought for your right to express yourself.
Exactly.
I fought for your First Amendment right to freedom of speech. The counter argument from people I sat with and watched football was, you're at your job. If you do, in the middle of your job, you do like political speech and our job is to fix cars and you don't fix cars, instead you're doing political speech, like I can fire you for that. It's the government that can't stop you from doing it. My response is like, the game hasn't started yet, idiot. This is not stopping the play to take a knee. You
great point.
Fucking moron.
I was just gonna say that, Brett. Great point. People
mute it until the game starts.
Yes, the game, because the whole reason why we are watching the game is to see them play. You said about their job. They're still doing their job. They're still giving us a game. It would be a whole other shit show if players stopped showing up to play.
Yeah.
Then that's another conversation. However, these players are still running the play. So think about that.
I know, and my last point on that, Brett, was I heard that argument too, that you know they're at their job, they shouldn't be doing this. But what about the cake baker who was like, no, I'm not going to bake this cake for
the LGBT,
you know, a gay, you know, couple. But you're at work, so should you be exercising that right? Like, and you know, if you say yes, then you should be allowing them to also exercise their right at their job, if that's your argument.
Yeah. Okay. Then just because we're getting the wrap up, also. Tom Brady considers himself a close friend of Donald Trump. A fellow quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, posted on Instagram himself kneeling with his players, saying like, you know, hashtag teamwork, hashtag brotherhood. And Tom Brady just commented on it with one of these emojis. So that's Tom Brady saying he sides with his brothers over it, you know, in the field. And then also just one last thing, the champion Golden State Warriors are supposed to, whoever wins the NBA is supposed to go to the White House and visit the president. And Steph Curry, when asked, he's the star of that team, he said, I personally don't want to go, but we're gonna put up it to a vote and we'll see. But I don't want to go. And then they decided they're not going. And then Trump tweeted out like, Curry is hesitating, his invitation is rescinded. It's like, you just rescinded an invitation from someone who said that he didn't want to go in the first place. That's not how that works, moron. The response from LeBron James is this: you bum, Steph Curry already said he ain't going. So therefore ain't no invite. Going to White House was a great honor until you showed up. Just so you know, the tweet from the president got, at the time when I checked it, had 100,000 likes. LeBron's had 850,000 likes.
So good.
So like everyone thinks that Trump's Twitter is so powerful and popular, but LeBron at this point, it's something like 6 times as many likes as the president's. So ridiculous. And the fact that he escalates Steph Curry, who's like the mellowest person in America.
The cutest kids ever.
Yeah.